Namaste to all. Okay, we are having this session at 9 p.m. Uh, One person who can keep us all awake is Chhatrapati Shivaji. I understood that this is the regular time in which you have your sessions. Um, so today is also the Atmarpan Divas of Swatantra Veer Savarkar. So we are having this event on a on a day uh, on which a person who was greatly inspired by Chhatrapati Shivaji, he left his body uh, by his own will. So such was Swatantra Veer Savarkar's life. We have probably one of the sessions that you will be having. You could also delve upon his life also in the future. Coming to today's session, today's topic that I've been given to speak on is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the wisdom, the timeless wisdom of his ideals also. All of us, I think about 70-80% of people on this forum, they are connected with, in some form, with Sangha families. So, in the realm of Sangha's ideals, if all of you are aware that there is this concept of the Guru. And in Sangha, there is no physical Guru. In the sense, the Guru is a Bhagavad Dhwaja for us. But at one point of time, when Pujaniya Dr. Ji, who is the founder of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha, he was asked that if there was a person who instead of the Bhagavad Dhwaj, if you had to put a person in its place, whom would you have put? Then he said that there are only two people who fulfill the ideals of what we are aspiring through the Bhagavad Dhwaja. One is Bhagwan Hanumanji, and the second person he named was Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So what was when we in Sangha, when we offer our prarthana on a daily basis, when we do our prarthana, there are certain gunas that we ask, certain qualities that we ask out of the Paramatma or whoever is our Ishtadeva. So these are qualities which the Sangha's founders, the early members of Sangha, they felt that these are very important when we are aspiring for a Sangatita Rashtra, for being playing some part in this transformation of Bharat and the revival of Hindutva. These five gunas are very important for all Swayamsevaks. Not only Swayamsevaks, for the entire society. So when we say that the Bhagavad Dhwaja represents, or Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj represents these ideals, these five ideals are something that I would like to first speak on, five gunas or the five qualities. And then the vision of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, how it's relevant to us even today. A few things that I would like to touch upon. In the five gunas, the qualities that we seek, the first quality that we seek from in the Sangha Prarthana is Ajeya Shakti. There is this line, Ajayancha Vishwasya Dehisha Shaktim. So even if the whole world turns against us, even then we should have the strength to overcome the entire world in case they come against us. In Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's life, the times that he lived in, if we look at that period, if we read through that period, there is a very interesting and telling incident which occurs in the life of Ma Jijabai. Jijabai, when she was pregnant and with Shivaji in her womb, she used to have a lot of women when they are pregnant, they have certain desires and some dreams also. So she confided in with some of her close friends who were with her, who are attendants with her. Saying that I have this vision that I should be I am riding a tiger and I have 18 hands, and in each hand I have a weapon, and I am going across the entire globe killing all the asuras, the demons. This is what she says. Hearing this, the people who are with her, her confidants or her attendants who are with her, they say, why are you having this ideas of becoming a beggar? Which means that when on one hand she is having this vision of riding a tiger with her 18 hands with all weapons, and the people around her are saying that this is the vision of a beggar, which means that if you have such ideas, sooner or later you will be reduced to beggary. The kings who are there, who the rulers are, these are people are the Mlechas who are the rulers, they are ordained to rule us. This is the common belief that was there in the people of Bharat during that time, during that period. I mean, if you read through the early period when she was growing up, the kind of incidents that she saw, uh, the people who were coming to her home, and then while they were going back, they were urinating in the nearby temple. The Mughal, the soldiers who were coming from the Mughal camps or the Bijapuri Sultans camp. So such was the audacity of people that they were willing to defile our temples and our sacred places of worship. What all we held as sacred, they were all being trampled upon. So such was the period in which Jijamata had she took this sankalpa that I will bear a child who will restore the Hindavi Swaraj. This was her vision. So the psychological aspects that I was talking about, that the period that we were living, the common person never felt that we will be able to have a rulership of our own. If we are vassals of somebody, we are living under somebody. If we are able to live our life, having our food, that is enough. That was the common idea that people had. Now, the what is very important when we look at this period of history is that the continuum of struggle that the Hindus or the Bharatiyas had, right from the so-called Hindu Kush mountains up to down south. Very little is known about the resistance that was offered below the Vindhyas, except for Shivaji Maharaj. That also, in not many people know about his complete exploits, but it is to the credit of a lot of people, especially people of Maharashtra, who were able to take this message of Shivaji in multiple forms. But if we trace the resistance struggle that happened in the south of Indias, after the advent of Alauddin Khilji and his general Malik Kafur, when he went down up to Madurai and he destroyed temples all across the up to Madurai. When he was returning back, and once he returned back, the first resistance that was offered to the Mlechas down below the Vindhyas were by two cousins who are known as the Musunuri Nayakas. This was just after the fall of the Kakatiyas, which was roughly about 14th century. Now, this 60 years of struggle that the Musunuri Nayakas gave, they once again re-established the Hindu kingdom in the places in today's Telangana and parts of Andhra Pradesh. As that kingdom phased out, some of these people who were inspired by the Nayakas, who were Nayakas themselves, were Harihara and Bukkaraya. They took the mantle. They were converted into Islam. And Swami Vidyaranya, who saw their potential, and he saw this entire period, this entire place, and he felt that we must restore Hindavi Swarajya in this part of the country. And he identified these two brothers, and he did the Gharvapsi of them. Swami Vidyaranya did the Gharvapsi of Harihara and Bukkaraya, and then went on to establish the Vijayanagara Samrajya. The most famous king that we are all aware of the Vijayanagara Samrajya is Sri Krishna Devaraya. Now, when Shivaji was a young boy, and his father was in the service of the Adil Shahis. This area of Bangalore, which is today's Bangalore, that area was under the Adil Shahis. Shivaji lived in that as a small boy in that area, and he used to read about the greatness of the Vijayanagara, the Hindu Samrajya of Vijayanagara. So, in the small boy's mind, this seed of Hindavi Swaraj, it took shape that we should once again liberate our land. This was his sankalpa as a small boy. So, what I'm trying to point out is that every small struggle that went on for Swarajya right from 14th century, that had its own place, that continuum of fire of freedom that was lit by all these series of great people, great warriors. They were instrumental in also helping us to helping the continuation of the battle for Swarajya, which Shivaji Maharaj took forward. So this Shakti that we are talking about, which is Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Jnana Shakti, this Ajay Shakti was something that he started imbibing, that we must, if we have to win, I have to win against all these odds. Second is the period that he lived. On one hand was the Mughal Sultanate ruling from Delhi, and there were 5 sultans in the south of Bharat. So the battle was not just on one side. He had to fight a battle, or he had to manage these sources in 6 different places. So this was the way, if you read, when we read his life, we come across so many such incidents where he plays the Mughals against the Adil Shahis, and he plays the Adil Shahis against the Mughals. There are so many places where he is so extremely diplomatic, he's strategic in his vision to ensure that Swarajya is achieved at all costs. So this is one aspect of his life where in spite of all odds, having that sankalpa, that vishwas, the confidence that I will face these mlechas at any cost. The most telling incident in that series is when we are all aware of the great historic escape that he makes from Delhi, from Agra, when in a way he was taken to Delhi by after Jai Singh takes him to Delhi, and he says that I will ensure that nothing happens to you. In a discussion where he wants to settle some kind of a, Jai Singh says we will have some kind of a compromise with Aurangzeb. Now, when Shivaji goes there, everybody is very surprised because he's coming alone with his young son, and there is no king, there is nobody, there's no army along that is coming along with him. There are no soldiers who are coming along with him. And when he goes there, and Aurangzeb orders his execution, him to be jailed. The historic escape that he makes from those jails, we are all aware of the great story, the way he comes out from there. But that inspired successive people, successive kings who were living in that particular area also. Right from the kings of Rajasthan to Chhatrasal, Durgadas Rathod, up to even Chakradwaja Singh near Cooch Behar, and later on the Lachit Barphukan's, the king to whom Lachit Barphukan was serving. All these people were infused, got inspired by this historic escape. And they said that if Shivaji Maharaj can do this all alone, we should be able to also offer our resistance to the different Muslim rulers who were ruling different parts of country. There was no one ruler. Different people were ruling in different parts of the country. But each of them launched their own battle for Swarajya from their own place. So that was the effect that Shivaji's confidence, his dhairya, his courage gave to the rest of the nation. The second aspect of Shivaji's great quality that we talk about in our prarthana is about Sheela, about character. Great strength with lack of character means that person becomes asuric. So Shivaji, he had a lot of emphasis on Sheelam, on character building. So people who lived along with him, they all exhibited this high level of character, which he was able to infuse in all of them. The greatest quality of a person of a high character is the way how he treats people of lesser standing than him. Meaning the common person. How does a king treat a common person? The very important story that comes to mind is when Shivaji Maharaj when his Rajdhani was Raigad. And every day, we know that people used to come from the village. They come and offer services. They sell vegetables. They do the entire marketplace used to be open. They used to come inside and then go back. So there was this woman. She used to sell milk, and she comes inside the fort of Raigad, and it becomes late for her. She is not able to go back. The gates are closed by the time she has to go back. So she says she has a very small child at home. She asks the soldiers there to let her go, but they says the time is up, so you cannot go. So next day morning, when the gates are opened, this lady is again, she's the milkwoman, she's coming inside. So the soldiers are very surprised. How did she go out? So they take her to Shivaji. They say that this lady, she was inside, and in the night she has gone out. Maybe she knows the secret way. So her name is Hirkani. And Hirkani says that no, my child was at home, so I had to go. So Shivaji Maharaj asks her, "How did you go?" She says, "I just climbed that wall and I went away." So when they go there, it's very high. It's one of the walls which are very high, and he's very surprised that how did she go down? So then Shivaji, then he asks her, "Can you go down now?" So she tries, and then because of course when at that time her child was there, but she is not able to go. But she says, "This is how I went down." Shivaji recognizes that, and he extends the tower in Raigad, and that tower is named after that lady called Hirkani Burj in the fort even today. That is named after her. So this was the even for a common person how Shivaji treated them with grace, with respect. This is clearly exhibited by this small incident. The second aspect of any king, especially the Muslim kings who ruled Bharat or they invaded Bharat, they had this history of kidnapping women, of raping women, and taking them as slaves. This was a very common thing for them. So the Nawab of Kalyan, when his daughter-in-law, Bijapur's governor of Kalyan, when his daughter-in-law is captured uh, by the soldiers of Shivaji Maharaj and they bring her to him, he reprimands those soldiers, and he says that he tells her that if my mother had also been so beautiful as you, I would also been more handsome. This was what he tells that lady who's a daughter-in-law. So he makes it a point that women are honorably treated, and he tells that during the course of warfare and raids in enemy country, women and children should on no account be touched. Now, this is very important because he's leaving a message to the people, the soldiers, about how to treat common people. Because if the people of Bharat, if they start feeling under his rule, that the only the ruler has changed, but nothing much has changed. Even now, the army or the soldiers are continuously picking up women, and they are charging exorbitant taxes. If the change is only in the ruler, then people would not aspire to have Hindavi Swaraj. So to establish what does it mean to be a Hindu, what does it mean to have a Hindu state, what does it mean to have a Hindu Samrajya, those values have to be instilled in the common person to show that this is what we will stand for. This is what our rule when it extends from the Sindhu to the Kaveri. When we have this kind of a rule, this will what will mean by Hindavi Swaraj. So the element of character that Shivaji built in the common person, that is the second great quality or the great quality that we aspire from everybody. That on one hand we have great strength, and on the other hand it is coupled with great character. The third aspect in Shivaji Maharaj's life is about Shrutam, which is about Jnanam. In Sangha, there is this Prarthana shloka where we say, Shrutanchaiva Yatkanta Kakirana Margam, which means that the tasks that we have taken, this is a task full of thorns. Because the task of integrating our society, task of getting people together, task of reviving our the Hindu ideals, of working for Hindu ideals, this is a task which is not easy. So while it's not an easy task, we need to have the jnana, the shrutam. Shrutam means jnana, for enabling us to pass through this way of thorns or the path of thorns easily. So it should not mean that while there are thorns, we keep on working on it, on the thorns and bleeding all over. It's not necessary that you should bleed all over. We have the knowledge and the ability, the knack of moving through these thorns easily. So this Shrutam is demonstrated time and again in Shivaji Maharaj's life. The biggest example of that is the story of Afzal Khan. This very, it's a very inspiring incident and a story which tells a lot about how his whole approach is, how he doesn't give too much of importance to himself, but he keeps the task at hand at the center of everything. We are all aware of Afzal Khan, how he tried to corner Shivaji. So when Afzal Khan starts attacking the villages, he starts again abducting women, he starts setting fire to crops, and common people are affected. Shivaji is not reacting, and Afzal Khan starts to lay siege to Shivaji's fort. He knows that he has to come out at some time, but Shivaji is not reacting. So the common people start feeling that even today, like we see this, right? If there is even one incident or one area where the people associated with the Hindu cause, they do not react or they are late to react, people start questioning their intention. It is not new to us because this was the case even 350, 400 years back when Shivaji Maharaj was there. And people start questioning that, अरे शिवाजी भाई ये तो क्या है, ये तो महान सोचे, हम तो भगवान सोचे, लेकिन ये तो अभी हिल ही नहीं रहे, इतना सारा अत्याचार हो रहा है. Even Tulja Bhavani's mandir is defiled, but he's not coming out. And at that point of time, Shivaji writes this letter to Afzal Khan that I'm afraid, I'm unable to. You're so great, you're so Shaktishali, you're so mighty. I need to have. I cannot come and meet you in public, so I need some space. Now, just imagine that if there was 24/7 television during that point of time and this letter had leaked out to them, what would have been the fate of Shivaji's image? So, but surely must have been people who also must have read this letter and spread this message that Shivaji is ready to compromise. But he did not care for that, because his ultimate goal was that we must uh, rid our country, of our nation, of these people. So when he goes and meets Afzal Khan in that historic meeting, there is one person from Afzal Khan's side and one person from Jiva Mala from Shivaji's side who are sitting there. This meeting that takes place, we generally hear about this meeting that Shivaji was ready with. He had an armor inside and he had tiger claws. He wore tiger claws, and when Afzal Khan comes and says, "Ah, Shivaji, gale milo," and he hugs Shivaji, and then we also hear that he took out a dagger and tried to stab Shivaji. And then Shivaji reacted, and then only he tore open Afzal Khan's uh, stomach. But a lot of people who know Shivaji's life, and there are a lot of historians who have written, who from our perspective have written. And our Magho Vaidyaji, Manmohanji's father, he used to say that Shivaji would never have waited for Afzal Khan to have drawn his dagger and then stabbed Shivaji. At the first opportunity that Shivaji got, he just tore open Afzal Khan's stomach. A person who is responsible for defiling Tulja Bhavani, a person who is responsible for the abduction of so many women, the person who is responsible for killing common folk, how would Shivaji have waited for him to have done personal harm to him before he has reacted? So Shivaji was not a person who would wait for the other side to act and harm him personally. The fact that that person has harmed his people was enough for Shivaji to act. So this entire episode shows that Shivaji waited. He was not bothered about what his image was, what people would think of him, but he was bothered about how to kill Afzal Khan. Now, when this whole thing was happening, these two people who were watching this whole episode, Jiva Mala, who was watching this entire thing, his whole eyes was on the other side. The person who was supposed to guard Afzal Khan. And even when Shivaji was killing, who tore open Afzal Khan's stomach, Jiva did not move. He was just watching the other guy. And the moment this whole episode happens and that Banda he attacks, Jiva Mala rises and cuts off his hand. He beheads him. So this whole thing shows that the duty consciousness that Shivaji was able to build among common persons, people like Jiva Mala, people like Tanaji Malasure, Morapant Pingale, Yeshaji Kank, they were all common people who rose to the occasion, who were duty bound, who found that we have to work for Dharma, and Shivaji knit them together in a beautiful garland of people who were fighting for Swarajya. So this was his Jnana Shakti, the way he was observing the enemy, how to handle the enemy. There are so many cases where Shivaji ties up with the Adil Shahis, he fights Aurangzeb. He ties up with, he makes some overtures to the to Aurangzeb sometimes to fight the Adil Shahis. This he is continuously doing this on occasion after occasion to build strength. Shivaji, I am from Bhagyanagar. This was also the place where Shivaji came to Bhagyanagar in February, the month of February. He had come to Bhagyanagar also. There was this dynasty here was the Golconda fort which was there. There is a very interesting incident here also. The Qutub Shahis were ruling this place. And a lot of you must have heard about the Nizam Shahi, but before the Nizams, the Qutub Shahis were ruling this place. The Qutub Shahis were Shias. And they had two ministers with them called Akkanna and Madanna. They had worked to create a truce between Shivaji and the Qutub Shahis. So the ruler of Golconda at that point of time was a person called Tana Shah. He was the last Qutub Shahi to rule this place. And Shivaji was welcomed here in Bhagyanagar through roses. And the entire, but Qutub Shahis being Qutub Shahis, and they were also Muslim rulers also at the end of the day. So they wanted to make fun of Shivaji. They asked him that Shivaji, आप आए लेकिन आपके पास हाथी नहीं है क्या? तो शिवाजी says है ना हाथी हमारे पास. तो हमारे पास तो दिख नहीं रहे, हमारे पीछे बहुत हाथी है, ऐसा वो he says. तो they said okay, कल हो जाए लड़ाई अपने हाथी और आपके हाथी से. So the Qutub Shahis, they bring in an elephant, and from Shivaji Maharaj's side, Eshaji Kank is brought in. In Eshaji Kank, he defeats the elephant, he brings the elephant down. And then Qutub Shahis they come, they're the common person in Shivaji's army, he's able to fight our elephants also. Such is the strength of Shivaji. At the same time, just before this Shivaji came to Bhagyanagar, there was a Bhakta called here in the districts of Telangana, that time the Golconda area, by name Bhakta Ramdas. He had built a temple for Sri Rama at Bhadrachalam. Now, this Tanasha, the Qutub Shahi king who was there, he jailed this person, saying that Ramdas was is a government employee under the Qutub Shahis, and he misused the funds to build the temple. This was what they attributed to him and jailed him. Shivaji came to know about this. And it is very interesting to note that when Tanashai was, one day he was sleeping, Rama and Lakshmana, they gave darshan to him. That is what he says. And they repaid the entire money that Ramdas was supposed to pay, and freed, that went to freeing Ramdas, Bhakta Ramdas also. But what is interesting is that Tanashai is a Muslim, he is a Qutub Shahi king, and how will Rama and Lakshmana give darshan to him? So some historians and people from our side, they mention, especially our people who built the Shivaji Memorial at Srisailam. They say that he came to know that Shivaji was coming to Hyderabad. He was about to invade Hyderabad, the Golconda dynasty, the Golconda kingdom. So therefore, Rama and Lakshmana came as Maharashtra Rama and Lakshmana, Ramoji and Lakshmanoji. So they gave darshan to him as Maharashtrian Rama and Lakshmana, and that is how they freed him. He was freed. So Shivaji makes Qutub Shahis build a temple for on the top of the Golconda fort by the very Qutub Shahis who had jailed Ramdas for building a Rama temple. This was the for undoing a wrong or making sure that the Hindus have the right place, even in a kingdom which is ruled by a Muslim king. Shivaji made sure that this happened. So this jnana that he had, coupled with Shakti and character, these three qualities, very important qualities that he had. The fourth quality that we talk about is about Veera Vratam. Now, of course, Shivaji was a great Veer. There's no doubt about it. But what can we learn as common people from the Veeratva of Shivaji? There is one to fight on battlefields, of course, which he did extensively. He fought multiple battles. But the bigger battle that he was fighting continuously was a battle on the mind. In his own mind, since there were so many people also opposed to Shivaji who did not have confidence that he will win, there were people who were trying to make sure that his dreams are not fulfilled also, and at the same time ensuring that he's unable to give time to his family also. So this incident of Afzal Khan's brother that happens just before that when he goes for this expedition, his wife Saibai is on her deathbed, and Shivaji doesn't know whether I should go to the battle or I should not go to the battle. How do I balance this? So Saibai gives so much of confidence to Shivaji. Of course, Jijamata was a great source of strength, but his wife also was a great source of strength. Unfortunately, Saibai dies, and before Afzal Khan's brother, his wife had also died. And then there is this episode of Shambhaji also, Shivaji reprimanding Shambhaji also for his little bit. Sometimes he goes wayward also. Shivaji reprimands him, he brings him back again. There was a close associate of Shivaji by name Netaji Palkar. Shivaji observes that this person who was almost called, he was called Prati Shivaji. That means he was equal to Shivaji. That was the kind of valor that Netaji Palkar had. But slowly, Netaji Palkar became overconfident. He started becoming a bit arrogant. This Shivaji observed this, and on one occasion, when he asks why did he come late to the battlefield, that person says, "Thoda deri ho gaya, kya ho gaya?" So Shivaji immediately removes him some service. Unfortunately, Netaji Palkar goes and joins the Mughals. He changes his name into Kuli Khan, and he doesn't go want to become a Muslim, but he joins them. But he was then forcibly he is made into a Muslim. But Shivaji doesn't keep this in mind that my friend has gone and then he has joined them. At the first occasion when Netaji Palkar comes back, Shivaji welcomes him back to his army. He does a Shuddhi, he does a Garvapsi to Netaji Palkar, and then inducts him again into his army. Another very close person of Shivaji, who was Balaji Nimbalkar, who was his brother-in-law, he also joins the Mlechas for some period of time. Shivaji brings him back again, and Netaji Palkar again he arranges for a marriage with Netaji Palkar's family. So this process of Garvapsi, of bringing people back, Shivaji understood that once a person goes away, which Vivekananda later tells that a Hindu who goes out of the Hindu pale is not a Hindu less but an enemy more. This Shivaji was able to see firsthand. He knew that if the number of Hindus reduce, if people are not brought back, then we will have a very tough time in the future. So he invokes the Devala Smriti. Devala Smriti is a Smriti by Rishi Devala, which is meant for Shuddhi, for reconversion. So he invokes that and he brings people back. That was also his vision. As a visionary, he was able to see that. So continuously, when he was fighting these battles, his personal issues that he had, the personal family issues that he faced, people very close to him who passed away or who joined the other side, how he brought them back. This is the hallmark of a Veera, because a person who takes up a cause, it's as a life mission. For him, everything, him or her, everything is not a path of roses. You always have ups and downs in life. Observing these ups and downs and seeing that we sail through that with grit and determination, that is something that we can learn in Shivaji Maharaj's life. Then the fifth quality that we ask for is Dhyaya Nishta. That is committing ourselves to the Dhyaya, to the goal. Having a goal, there are a lot of people who make resolutions, like we make resolutions every year. Some people make it on 1st of January, some people make it on Ugadi. Sometimes when there is an incident that happens in the family or in our life, we make some resolutions. But the resolution for Swarajya that Shivaji made was as a small child, where and then the way his mother Jijamai goads him, prods him, trains him for him from his first victory of the Torna fort up to the establishment of him as of the Hindu Samrajya. Up to that period, the continuous keeping that flame of Dhyaya alive, keeping that flame of Swarajya alive in his heart, that is something that we can all learn when we have our goals, the cause for which we are all working for. There are a lot of times when we have small family issues, there are issues. There are times where maybe due to our exams or we get married for our jobs, for internal family, we have so many other issues that come up within a family life also. But keeping that momentum alive, doing our bit, continuously doing it, consistently doing it, and getting people along in this whole journey is something that the fifth guna that we can learn from Shivaji Maharaj's life. So these five gunas that we were talking about, Ajaya Shakti, Saushilyam, Dhyanam or Shrutam, Veeravratam and Dhyanishta. These are five things that are five qualities that I feel that the common Hindu has to imbibe from his life. In addition, like I mentioned about his vision about Gharvapsi, about getting people back to the Hindu fold, then wherever there was a problem to the Hindus, like when the Portuguese came in and there was problem in Goa, they were actively beginning to convert there. Shivaji goes to Goa and he destroys the church there. He puts that person who the missionary who is converting there. He takes him to task, and these are recorded in even Portuguese records. And one person in the Lisbon records, it is mentioned, there is a letter that in the Lisbon records about a person who asks one more, his immediate person asks this person who is a Hindu, and he knows some people in Shivaji's army. But why is this person fighting all this? Why is he doing all this? He can live happily. So that person, he tells the Portuguese person, the Portuguese officer, that Shivaji does not want to build a small kingdom or some kind of Maratha kingdom only. His goal, as he has himself told, is to establish Hindavi Swaraj from Sindhu to Kaveri. This is his vision. So does Shivaji live up to that expectation? Yes, he does. When the first opportunity, like I mentioned, he traveled all the way from Bhagyanagar. He went down south. He went to Karnataka. He liberated Karnataka also, today's Karnataka, the Mysore state. He goes up to Tamil Nadu, and he in near Vilupuram and in today's Chennai, there are temples which Shivaji freed. It is also said that the famous temple of Tiruvannamalai, which is the Agni Lingam, that also was reconstructed by Shivaji. That is also said that he went down there. And he built a fort called the Jinji Fort near Vilupuram. He built in the sense he freed it from the rule of the Muslims. It was the fort that was established by the Vijayanagara kingdom, and Shivaji freed that. And in a way, that was his second capital. And later on, when Shivaji's son also was killed, Rajaram, who was the person who took forward the legacy, he lived in Jinji and he ruled from there for some time. So this vision that he had, that the entire Dakshinapatha, right from south of Vindhyas, which was called Dakshinapatha in the ancient Vedic times, this entire place has to be first freed. And at the same time, he did not have this ichha that he should rule all the other parts also. He motivated people like Chhatrasal, like Durgadas, like Chakradwar Singh, like I mentioned, to have their own kingdoms, own Hindavi Swaraj. So he writes to them that we are all working for a common cause. Let us work together in unison to establish this Hindavi Swaraj. So he doesn't want the kingdom for himself, to an extent that when he comes to Srisailam here to have a darshan of Mallikarjuna, there is one moment in which he wants to, moment of Vairagya, where he wants to offer his head to the Mata. So he almost beheads himself. Only the people close to him, they see him and they catch him. And then he's motivated by the sons there, that he's there for a mission, that he needs to take this cause forward. And it is said that he had a vision. Sakshat Jagadamba gave him that sword with which he fought further on from there. So like this, we can go on Shivaji's life, his qualities, his vision. One of the greatest aspects, apart from all the other things, are two important aspects that I will touch upon, is his ability to motivate common people. We have heard about this story on Pawan Khind, which Baji Prabhu fights to ensure that Shivaji is safe from Panhala to Vishalgarh. When Siddhi Johar, he lays siege to the fort of Panhala. How Shivaji is taken away from there, and he is protected for his sake, for his protection. Baji Prabhu Deshpande, he fights the Mughals with a small band of people. And till the time he receives news that Shivaji is safe, he keeps on fighting for hours together. They say it is said that he fought for over 20 hours with a small band of people. And that place which where he laid down his life was renamed as Pavan Khind. Similarly, we hear about Tanaji Malasure's life. He had a marriage in his own son's marriage, and they come to know that Shivaji is going for this siege to Simhagad, which is Kondana. And Tanaji puts that his son's marriage aside, and he goes and leads it from the front. He liberates that fort from the hands of the Mughals, and then he lays down his life there. Shivaji offers tribute. He cries and he says that Gadala par Simha Gela. So common people who were associated with him, they dreamt of the same vision that Shivaji had. So it is not one man's vision. He was able to infuse that fire in the common person, which is why that even after Shivaji and Shambhaji died, for 30 years there was no ruler in Maharashtra. The people of Maharashtra, they fought without a ruler for 30 years against the Muslims, and they ensured that the Qabr of Aurangzeb is built. He was not able to go back across the Vindhyas back again. So his Qabr is also in Ahmednagar. So Aurangzeb, who came on this glory, he felt that I will conquer the Deccan. He could not go back again. That was the vision that without a king, people were able to fight for 30 odd years for the sake of Hindavi Swaraj. That is one vision. The second great vision that he had, which modern day Navy, for in terms of warfare that he executed, he established forts in the seas, which is forts like Sindhudurga. These forts, there are at least four. They say there are more than 12 forts, but at least four are famous forts. He established these forts in the seas itself because he knew that the next invasions that are going to come are from the colonials who are going to come by sea. Because he saw the Portuguese coming, he knew that the Britishers are also coming by sea. So he felt that if we are not strong on the seas, sooner or later we will lose our independence. So that the vision that he had today, after so many centuries, we now have the Indian Navy going back to that vision. We ultimately we have given up King George V's Insaina and now gone back to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Insaina for our Navy also. So this kind of a vision that he had, his quality, putting himself second, seeing that the nation is first, the dharma is first. This is the kind of vision that he had, which I think all of us can imbibe these qualities. These are qualities a long way for us to fulfill our mission in life. Which I'll close with this poem or that Samartha Ramdas Swamiji talks about when he extols about Shivaji. He says, Nishchayacha Mahameru, Bahut Janasi Adharu, Akhanda Sitesa Nirdharu, Srimanta Yogi, Narapati, Hayapati, Gajapati, Gadapati, Bhupati, Jalapati, Purandarani Shakti, Prushtabhagi, Yashavant, Kirtivant, Samarthyavant, Varadavant, Punyavant, Nitivant, Janata Raja. Then he says, Acharashil, Vicharashil, Danashil, Dharmashil, Sarvagya Pane Sushil, Sakalathai, Dhira, Udar, Gambhir, Shura Kriyesi Tatpara, Savadhana Pane Rupavara, Tuchha Kele, Deva Dharma Gobrahmana Karavaya Samrakshana, Hrudayasta Jhala Narayana, Prerana Keli, Ya Bhumandala Chai Tahi, Dharma Rakshi Esa Nahi, Maharashtra Dharma Rahile Kahi, Tumha Karane, Kityeka Dushta Samharila, Kityekasi Dhaka Sutla, Kityekansa Ashraya Jhala, Shiva Kalyana Raja. This is what Samartha Ramdas Swami, my Marathi may be a bit off, but this is a person, irrespective of the language, he inspired right from Samartha Ramdas Swami to Tukaram to even Kavi Bhushan, who searches for Shivaji and comes, and who is the person who can save this temple of Kashi. And he writes about Shivaji. He writes that after writing Shiva Bharata, he extols him as saying, Kashi ki kala gayi, Mathura masjid gayi, Shivaji na hote to sunnat hoti sabki. That means the whole nation would have, the Hindu society would have been converted if Shivaji was not alive. This is how uh, Bhushan Kavi writes about him. So, a common person, a mother who had this great vision of liberation of Hindavi Swaraj, the way she trained her son so that he becomes Chhatrapati, he doesn't live for his own. In the true spirit, true Kshatriya spirit of Bharat, she trains him and his own whole family, his friends, how they come together in establishing Hindavi Swaraj. This is a great story. This is a great epic making story that we all have inherited in our ancestry. And it is that prerana that takes us uh, to work for this noble cause that we are all participating in. Dhanyawad.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the valuable talk you had given today. It was really honor to have you with us.